Hi there friends, if you're new to my channel, my name's Nicole and I'm here today to share with you the top 10 books that I read in 2017. I also ran this as a post on my blog and I'll leave a link to that blog post down below in the description box. And while we're talking about it, I will also leave a link to my social media profiles and to my Goodreads page. If you don't know, Goodreads is a kind of social media type website where you can review books, log what you're reading, and connect with other people. So if you'd like to be friends, I would love to, and I will put my link down below. A few quick disclaimers to get out of the way. One, I've just realized that I think I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore last time I filmed a video, so I have washed it. I just wear this shirt a lot. Number two, I don't really have much makeup on today because I'm actually, after I film this in a couple of hours, going to go get on my flight back to the UK, back to London, and I try not to wear too much makeup on flights, but I wanted to film this anyways today. And number three, that's because I'm filming using my new camera that I got for Christmas, which you may have seen in my What I Got for Christmas video. And so bear with me over the next few videos as I figure out how to use this. We will see. But hopefully everything goes well and the videos film properly and it looks good. But like I said, just take in mind that this is me learning how to use a new camera. With all of that said, let's go ahead and get started into my top 10 books of 2017. Let me know if you like these book videos. I've been getting more into like booktube lately and book YouTubers, and so I thought maybe I'd film a little bit more book related content. So if you like that, do give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. These aren't in any particular order, but they are my top 10 books that I've read this year. There also, I felt like I should give honorable mentions to, I reread Hamlet this year and I reread Pride and Prejudice. I didn't want to include them because I've read both of them like 3 or 4 times already, but they continue to be 2 of my favorites. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first 2 are both Agatha Christie novels, and the first one is And Then There Were None, which you've definitely heard me talk about before if you've been watching my videos. I love this book. My friend Will recommended that I read this whenever I said that I was interested in the new Murder on the Orient Express movie that was coming out, and I love this book. It's so suspenseful. It's exactly the type of like horror type mystery that I like, where it's not like gory. It's just very much a psychological thriller in some ways. I had no idea who did the crime until it revealed it at the very end, so that's amazing. And I actually really want to reread this at some point because I think it would be really interesting to read it again, knowing who the murderer is. The other one is Murder on the Orient Express, and I have here the movie edition of it, which is one of the Hercule Poirot novels, which Agatha Christie is particularly famous for. I really love the movie and I really love the book as well. If you don't know, it's about a murder that kind of takes place on a train journey, and so all of the occupants of the train know that it was one of them. And I also didn't really see this coming until the very end, near to where it was revealed, so that was amazing. I think that the characters in this novel are so interesting, and the crime itself is so interesting. So I highly, highly recommend this as well. The next book that I read is a Jane Austen that I'd actually never read before, which is Northanger Abbey. I somehow had just never read this before, and I think it's brilliant. It's kind of a satire of the gothic romance novel genre, which was very popular at the time that Austen was writing this. I really love all the characters in it. I think Mr. Tilney is one of my favorite Austen men of all time. He's kind of competing with Bingley now. I think that Catherine Morland is a really interesting heroine and really relatable. She really loves novels. She's kind of naive. She's young. She wants to make friends. She really loves her family. Like, there's a lot in there I think that you can relate to. And I just really enjoyed it. I think it's a really interesting take on kind of women's education at that time, really, which maybe is me reading a bit far into it, but I would love to discuss this with more people. One of my goals is to, over the next couple of years, read all of the Austen works that I've not read already. I've read Emma, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and now Northanger Abbey, so I only have a few left, and I also really want to reread Emma. And yes, I'm putting these books away as I do this. The next book that I read is a memoir called Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. I was quite emotional reading this, I'm going to admit, because obviously Carrie Fisher has passed on, and so it was actually quite emotional for me to read things about her daughter particularly, but I think this is so funny. It's such a hilarious book. I learned so much too about her childhood that I didn't know before, as the daughter of Debbie Reynolds, and as the daughter of 2 very high-profile Hollywood people, that I really had never thought about, but I highly recommend this as well. It's a very quick read. I got through it in like a day and a half, but really interesting. The next book I want to talk about is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, I think is how you say it. I've actually never read any of her other work, like Eleanor and Park or Fangirl or anything like that, but I saw this and I just really liked the cover, so I picked it up because I'm totally someone who does that sometimes. But it kind of goes between two sets of people. One of them is, what is his name? I read it a while ago. Lincoln. Okay, I was right. Lincoln, who's an IT guy who's kind of in charge of reading all the company emails that get flagged for going against company policy for what can be in the work emails. And then Beth and Jennifer, who are two women who work for the same company, who exchange emails about their personal lives because they're friends, and they keep getting flagged, so Lincoln keeps having to read them. And it kind of has to do with how the two stories intersect, but I just really love the characters in it. I think that they're all really cool. I think that a lot of the things that it deals with are really realistic, and it was just like a really easy read. I read a lot of, as you've seen, like memoirs and historical books, or books about history, and classic novels, and sometimes it's nice to just have a more easy, fun read. Speaking of easy, fun reads, the next two are ones that I actually picked up on the airport on my way home from London for Christmas. I saw a sale in W.H. Smith, and so I grabbed them. This one is The Note by Zoe, I think it's Folbigg. I could be saying that wrong. I'm so sorry if I am. But I have been seeing this around and kind of wanted to pick it up, but this was kind of the push that I needed. And it's such a cool story. The whole thing is kind of based around the idea of falling in love with someone on public transport, which I am so guilty of. Every time I read the tube, I'm like, I'm in love with at least 4 people. But it's actually also based on the real life story of the author and her husband, which is so cool. But it also deals a lot with kind of stuff in the workplace. The main character, Maya, works for a fashion I was going to say fashion magazine. It's not a fashion magazine. It's a fashion website. And I thought that all of that part was really interesting as well. It also has a lot to do with like kind of how relationships fall apart. It has a lot to do with friendship and family. And I just so recommend this. It's one that I know that I will reread again and again whenever I need like a good feel-good novel. I got through it in like 2 days. I just really recommend this very highly. The other one that I picked up at the airport was Giovanna Fletcher's Some Kind of Wonderful. This is actually the special airport edition of it because it's not actually out in paperback yet. But I knew that I had to read this. I had meant to buy it before I left London because I love Giovanna Fletcher. She is my favorite author who is living, is what I always say. Jane Austen is my favorite author overall, but Giovanna Fletcher comes in second. And so this is kind of about a character, Lizzie, who goes through a really bad breakup from a very long-term relationship and has to kind of reconsider everything that she knows about herself now that she is no longer with her partner. And I think that that's something that a lot of people will be able to relate to, or even if you've not gone through it in that way, like sometimes for me, like graduating from college, I was like, well, who am I outside of a school setting? So in some ways, yes, I went straight back into grad school, but I really liked it. It's kind of about reinventing yourself and finding what makes you happy, and I really, really liked being able to start 2018 with this sentiment. So I highly recommend picking this up. It's, even though it looks pretty thick, it's a pretty fast read if you get as sucked in as I did. So really good. Giovanna Fletcher never disappoints me. On a related note, this is Carrie Hope Fletcher, Giovanna's sister-in-law's latest novel called All That She Can See. And Carrie, you may know if you watch my channel, is one of my favorite people ever. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, authors, actresses. I got to see her in The Addams Family recently. I also got to meet both Carrie and Giovanna at the press event for Christmasaurus, which is Tom Fletcher, Carrie's older brother and Giovanna's husband's Christmas show that he put on based on his book, which I got to go to the press event for Broadway World, and they are both such lovely, lovely human beings. But I so enjoyed this book in any case. I actually like this a lot better than Carrie's first novel. The basis of this is it's about a girl named Carrie who's a baker, and she has this kind of unique gift wherein she can see people's bad feelings. And I really, really loved this whole idea. I'm really into magical realism, which Carrie does so well, which is the idea of like putting magic into the normal universe, so like the world that we know, but with magic. And I thought that this whole idea of being able to see feelings is so cool. Like, I don't know how Carrie came up with that. But I really enjoyed this. I really liked all the characters, especially Cherry. I think that it was a really interesting plotline. It took all these twists and turns that I so didn't expect at all. I really like the kind of whimsical way that Carrie writes. So overall, I just really, really loved this. And I'm so looking forward to Carrie's next novel, which has to do with theater, so combining two of my favorite things, Carrie's novels and theater. The next kind of YouTuber book, I guess, that I also read and loved this year is Wilde Like Me by Louise Pentland. In the same way that I wouldn't really class Carrie or Giovanna's novels as YouTuber books, I wouldn't class this one as one either, just in that, like, it's a proper novel. And that's also not me putting down YouTuber books. I just know some people don't like them. But I think this novel would stand perfectly well on its own if it did not have Louise Pentland's name on it. I would love it even if I had no idea who the author was. I think it's such an interesting story. It basically is about a character called Robin Wilde, who is a single mom, and it's about her trying to kind of navigate the workplace and being a mom and dating again. And even though that's so far away from what my life is, I so related to Robin and loved her. I like wish that I could go for a cup of tea with her or babysit her adorable daughter Lila. I love her aunt, who's also a really cool character, and her best friend. I loved reading about all of her dating disasters, and you really can tell that Louise has poured her soul into these characters, and you wish that you could legitimately be friends with them. And I'm also super, super excited because Louise has recently said that she is working on the sequel to this book, which I cannot wait to see what else is happening to Robin and Lila and the whole gang. If I had to pick a favorite book that I read this year, it definitely would be The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, which I read in preparation to go see the musical The Woman in White at the Charing Cross Theatre in London. And this actually, if you follow me on social media, you will probably know this is not my copy of the book. This is the one that I bought my sister for Christmas because my copy is in London because I can't bear to leave it here. But I have actually filmed a whole video on my thoughts on the book and then my thoughts on the musical of an adaptation of it, so I will link that video down below. But it has very fast become my favorite novel, or one of my favorite novels at least. Walter Hartwright, who is kind of the main character of it, is my favorite male character I've ever read. He has surpassed all of Jane Austen's men. I think he's great. But The Woman in White basically is about Walter Hartwright, who is a drawing master, and he goes to Limerick House to be the drawing tutor to two women, Laura Fairley and her older, poorer sister, half-sister, Marian Halcombe. And on his way there, he encounters a mysterious woman dressed in white who is Anne Catrick, and she has a secret that she says if she shares it, she could ruin the man who has wronged her. And it's kind of all about that. It's a beautiful love story, but also I think a really, really interesting statement about kind of the plight of women in Victorian England. It also kind of is said to be the first of the like sensational Victorian mystery novels, and I just think it's so well done. It's told in the first person from different narrators, so it like switches around some as if they're like telling the stories as though they might be like handed in for a trial or something. And I think that that makes it feel so much more modern because it's, I feel like, kind of rare to find a work from this time period in the first person, so I think that's also a really cool element of it. It is a thick book, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I actually went through it very quickly. I read it in just a couple of weeks, and I highly recommend this to everyone. I think it's such a great novel and so worth reading and so overlooked, and I don't know why, but I love Wilkie Collins' style, I love the plot, the characters, I literally, you can tell I can't say good enough things about it. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed hearing about my top 10 favorite novels that I read in 2017. Please do let me know what your favorite books were that you read in 2017 down in the comments below, because I am, of course, looking into my to-be-read list for 2018 and always open to suggestions, especially if you've read any of these and liked them and have similar books to them that you can suggest. Otherwise, be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it and to subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I really, really would love to hit 250 subscribers because I'm super close to it. I'm at like 240, 245, somewhere in that range right now, so that would totally make my day. Again, do forgive me if there's been any camera issues going on, but I'm trying my best to use my new fancy camera, and I will see you guys again hopefully very soon. Bye! Okay, I think that's filming. I think we're good.
I was flashing on the other side.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I was flashing.
Look. I think we're filming.
Oh, that's really nice.
I have to remember to look here though and not there. This lighting's good.
Yeah, it's really nice in here.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
Cool.
Bye, I'll shut your door.
Alright, thank you. You're the best.
Yeah.